Okay, so now my scene looks a little bit different because my Maya crashed out before I was able to save it, so it's just a little bit different. It's not much. It's just the jack has no bump map. These might be switched around too, but I have a ramp and I have a room. Okay. Find your room, and we need to paint it a little bit. So in this scenario, we need to make 2 Lamberts, and we're going to choose a color for our room. Let's see. We're going to paint the walls some other color besides what I have. We're going to paint the walls a mint green. You can see that I am not an interior decorator, but mint green walls. Okay. Okay, let's slide that over there. Now there we got a mint green. And maybe this one we're going to have, let's see, I got blue, this green. Maybe over here we're going to have something just a little bit different, just because we can really see the effect. Oops. All right, and that being said, let's make a really bright yellow. Okay. So again, this would be the ugliest room in your house, but it shows the properties of light. All right, so what happens here is the next step is to show you how you can kind of control light as far as the bouncing occurs. All right, well, up until now, you know, you've been casting a light on something. Let's pretend it's spotlight. You've been casting a spotlight on something, and the light is very direct. Okay. And it doesn't formulate any kind of bounce. So, in other words, if I shine that light up on to this wall, it should pick up color on that wall and transmute it into the shadow region of that ball. Right now, it hasn't been doing that. Okay. What you're seeing right here is the reflection, but not the shadow color. Well, that's how light is. Whatever light goes in at any angle comes out the same angle. So if I got a light shining this way, it would formulate the same angle going the opposite polar direction. To simulate this, we have to kind of look at our light under the mental ray tab. And then we're talking about photons here. Okay. Now there's 2 different kinds of photons. There's caustic photons and there's global illumination photons. For right now, we're going to be talking about global illumination photons. So that means we're going to go into the render settings, and under features, we're going to turn on global illumination. Okay. And for right now, we're only leaving that on. And for demonstration purposes, what I want to do is show you what photons are. So I'm going to crank up the exponential value to 1. Okay, let's hit go. See what weird thing happens. Okay, so these big blotches of color right here are photons. They're huge, big, huge photons, and they're flying around the scene trying to figure out what their purpose is. You can see now there is green in the bulb, but this is a disco effect. You know, I mean, it looks like some kind of disco stage with all the lights. Well, that's because, one, I got the exponential value turned up. Now, to turn it up, it's a lower number, okay? wow, mega light show. Okay. But let's say we can control these a little bit better. Under here, that's what final gathering does. Final gathering consumes light and calculates for it. So now even on the brightest setting, it does make a little bit more sense. Okay. Still, a lot of photon energy here. The photonic energy here is just way out of control, but look at, here's the green from that wall transmuting here. Also, I could see that in jack. So we can turn this down to maybe something more in the lines of what it really is. And there we go. Now, let's add a shadow to it. See what that does. And you can see, even in the shadow, it's switching its light source. So now I have a green shadow over here, and I have color in it down here below. That's more true to life. Okay, so what happens? Well, let's say I switch it. Let's make it so this light is switching over to the corner where I have both yellow and green. Okay. That's when I would have to kind of raise the exponential value up a little bit. Because one, the light is further away. And I think 0.1 or 1 is still pretty strong, so let's try that out. But you're going to see that the wall that is highly saturated yellow is going to overtake and overpopulate the green. Okay? And it's going to cause this really nasty yellow to occur on all the surfaces. So when you do think about designing color for your scene now, you would have to stay away from the very saturated colors. Okay, in this case, all I would have to do is tone that down to something like this. And it's a lot better. You can even mix a little bit of gray value into it. Nice. All right, so that is global illumination. Now, let's look at the other kind of photonic energy, which is the caustic variety, okay? In the next video.